4 years back, I was a failure. I believed myself to be a loser. And at that point of time, I decided that I have to take action. And since I'm going to join college, getting a job is going to be my number one priority. So I spent the last 4 years grinding my ass off trying to get a job. I I made projects. I did lead code. I skipped a lot of parties also. I did attend, but I did skip a lot of them in the last 2 years. I I took part in club activities to maybe have some brownie points. So that was the journey. But my goal remained the same, that I have to get a job. Back in third year, it looked really difficult because that is when the market just crashed. There were no jobs for IT graduates, and everybody was struggling. I believe that I would have no options in the future, that I would not land a job and it's time to look for something else. But something told me that, you know what, we had decided on a goal 2 years back and we had to fulfill it against all odds. It drove me crazy. Every day I couldn't think of anything else but if I would land a job or not, and if I am putting in enough efforts or not. I could define myself as a madman. I was paranoid as hell. 4 years later, I did land a job. Two, in fact. I would say uh, it's a decent job. It doesn't pay as much as I thought it would, but it's still far from the average pay in my country, and it's only a starting point. But the reason I told you the story is you might be thinking I'm trying to motivate you, but here's the reality. 6 months through the job, I realized that maybe this is not what I wanted. And what I mean by that? 4 years back, my situation was different. I did not earn, I did not know what to do with my free time. I was in all sorts of habits, gaming, wasting time, cussing all the time, and stuff. And I wanted to change. And my idea of change was to prove something, to achieve something. And what achievement articulated into was basically a job. I thought that if I get a job, that is going to be the highest level of achievement I'm going to achieve. Now, once that achievement is fulfilled, there came this emptiness within me, which said, what's next? What's next? What do you want to do next? And if I say nothing, I don't want to do anything, I'm happy with my job, there's this voice that says, it's stagnation, you have to do something about it, blah, blah, blah. And for that matter, it told me that it forced me to take up a decision. It took 2 months of time to think about it, and I derived a conclusion that I have to go through X and Y path. I cannot reveal it to you right now, but yeah. And that part again is what makes sense to me right now. Now, what's the reality going on? It's a little harder to define in a short span of time, but we'll get to that by the end of this video. And yeah, this is supposed to be a fourth video. You're welcome. Welcome to the video as well. I didn't greet you in the beginning because I wanted the video to start off with no bullshit. So yeah, your priorities do change over time. What feels like an achievement today will probably just be another thing tomorrow. And that is why you have to be cautious about stuff, about what you do, about what you want. essentially. Hold up. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, getting back to the subject, what makes sense today might not make sense in the future. Same thing goes with money. You feel like spending some money on maybe an iPhone, and once you are in a crisis, the same thing will not make sense to you in the future. That why did I buy put so much money on such a thing? No, I'm not criticizing iPhone or the users. I'm just giving you an example from my perspective, of course. Okay, yeah. That begs the question, why do you want to improve? What is driving you to improve? Well, there are layers to us, and these layers have accumulated, they have superimposed each other over years. You've grown up, you're a man, you're a woman now, you're a lad or a lady, I don't know. You've grown up with experience, with memories. Every second you live, if it is worthwhile, if it is good or bad, it is lodged into your head. And you can probably go back in time thinking about those, trying to relive those through your head, not judging you. So, yeah, you are basically what your memories are and how uh, you learned from those memories. But for a lot of us, there's this shared trauma from childhood. Not all, but a lot of us. So essentially, what I'm talking about is, as a kid, probably when you were younger, you were treated really well once you scored good marks, and you were scolded, yelled at, or hit even if you had scored less marks. This is just one example. Scoring good marks is a desired behavior that your parents wanted. So there's this desired behavior, and this is your actual behavior. If the desired behavior and your behavior had coherence, basically they were similar, they were close, you were rewarded. And if they were farther apart, you were punished. There was a loop of reinforcement, of conditioning that went on. Now, this is not just for marks, there were other situations as well. For example, you just running across the house, and if that annoyed your mom, the ideal behavior would be you just sit in one place while your mom does her work or relaxes. I'm not saying your mom was wrong, but then there was a difference. You sitting silently as a kid, you are expecting a kid to be stable versus the kid actually being chaotic, and there's a lot of difference. There's no coherence at all. So this loop goes on for pretty much every behavior. If you were punished, that is. Some kids were not bothered about, some were given rewards regardless, some were punished, overly punished. So, yeah, for some of us, what happened was we were treated based on this coherence of the actual behavior versus the desired behavior. And that is what has molded a lot of us. And once this happens, it turns into a personality. Let us say there's this desired behavior and this is your actual behavior. You were scoring less marks in your first grade. Your mom didn't care much. Let, let's just assume your mom didn't care much. You came to second grade and your grades didn't go up either. The distance still remained the same. Your mom didn't care much. As you came to seventh grade, when you started actually growing up in your teenage, your marks, anything that was bounding you felt too much. And once you hit seventh grade or eighth grade, your marks did not meet the expectations. This the same behavior increased the distance, and this created friction and turmoil at home, which caused you to feel bad and undergo some trauma mentally, subconsciously, and now it has become a part of your personality. Even in 8th grade, if you didn't get grades, ninth, 10th, I'm just giving an example of how time creates the illusion of distance and coherence. So, the more critical the damage was, the more embedded it is into your personality. I gave you an example of how distance was increased based on time. First, we didn't care, and then we didn't care a little less. We cared, we cared more, we cared too much. See how care went up, and then the distance also grew. It gets worse for people who were doing well, who were exceeding expectations or were meeting expectations, but suddenly showed distinct behavior, something that was not desired. Because you know what, with age, with like new experience, you tend to change. Your priorities also change, or simply life happens and things change. So when this sudden shift happens, you are told that you are not the same person anymore. You are getting distracted. You are this. You are that. You know what? Playing outside is a waste of time. Making friends, you're talking to your friends too much. Friends are a waste of time. Lot of things, lot of insults. So you have grown up with high expectations of a desired behavior. This behavior can be anything. You grew up with a lot of expectations. You grew up with insults and trauma. And as you grow up, this is something you have been experiencing and learning. The first 20 years of your life is basically what the foundation of your future self is going to be. Your 30s and 40s depend on your health in your 20s. Your 20s behavior is basically governed by how you lived the first, the earlier stages of life, how you come out as a toddler to a young adult. And yeah, 20s are supposed to be really confusing because you don't know shit. You've just entered adulthood and nothing makes sense. Everything is chaotic. I mean, it is supposed to be chaotic. Why do you expect everything to be sorted in your 20s though? Right? But that doesn't mean you should not be actionable. Again, coming back to the topic, you've grown up, you've experienced life with a lot of traumas. Some of you had people to share these with, some of you did not. But that doesn't undermine the fact that it is a part of your subconscious now. So, all of us have this hidden critique within us. So, every time you have a desired behavior within you, not an external person having a desired behavior for you. There is a desired behavior, and then there is your actual behavior. If there is no coherence, that inner critique, that voice within you, yells at you. It puts you through the same cycle of guilt, insults, and shame, fear, even. Now, um, you might say that it is sometimes good. In my previous video, I told you that you should, use guilt and shame to your wellness to motivate yourself to do well. But then this video is talking about the layers even below that, the layers of trauma, not the layers of action. The previous three videos spoke about action. These ones are talking about your actual behavioral patterns, your personality, your mind, not the external actions you do, but what's inside, if that makes sense. What's inside governs what is outside. So there's this saying I really relate to, Antarmukhi Sadasukhi. What it means is one who faces inwards is always better off. Meaning, one who has his mind sorted has his world sorted. It has deeper philosophical meanings as well, but we'll not get into that now. Yeah, so there is this inner critique within you that tells you you're not shit, you ain't doing shit, you're doing something wrong, you are not what you're supposed to be, you're not there yet, you're not this, you're not that. My question to you is, are you really ambitious or are you just subconsciously restless? You have associated achievement, achieving this desired behavior with being rewarded in life. Hold on. I've been sitting down uh, frequently nowadays, and it's not a bad thing. It's really nice. Just have to get used to it. So yeah, you've been associating achieving the desired behavior with getting rewarded in life. Earlier in your life, it was your parents that gave you the reward. Now it's just you mentally giving yourself the reward that yeah, you have made it. So once this behavior is achieved, what's next? What's next? You find another desired behavior and chase, keep chasing. But you never really worked on the aspects of you that were causing this guilt and fear to arise every time you did not meet your own expectations. And that part of you, that critique, kills your creativity, kills your drive, and really does not make you a jolly person. It sometimes even makes you miserable. Oh, monkey. They are monkeys. Okay? So, hmm. About the part that guilt trips you and reinforces, forces you to achieve a certain behavior. Is this truly freedom? I would ask. You are a slave to your mind now. Earlier, you were a slave to your laziness. Now you're a slave to your mind. You are always on the grind. Do you even know yourself? Well, you might say, I do know myself. I have so and so hobbies. Why do you have those hobbies? Are they really creative outlets or are they some achievables again? Are you really living life just one goal after the other? Or are you actually uh, creating new parts of yourself, learning something new for the sake of enjoyment, that is, not for the sake of being a better person? What are you being a better person for? Have you asked? Who is it for? You might be miserable. You don't even talk to people properly at times. You lash out at people. Might not be you, but might be you. Who knows? Realize it that you're not a slave to your ambitions. You're not a slave to your impulses. Be free. Be fearless. With this ambition comes fear. Fear of not making it there. What will happen to me if I am not something I desire to be? I'll be stuck here. I'll not do well. And a number of things. This fear is going to keep you binded to that process, to the grind, that after a few years you will sit back and think, was it really worth it? Or did I really do it for all of this? I'm not saying you should not have goals or you should not be ambitious, but just introspect where that ambition is coming from a genuine place where you want to improve your life and the lives of people dependent on you, or is this ambition something that is uh, a part of me, something that I'm trying to explore, or is it simply because I'm addicted to something, because I'm addicted to improvement? How far will you go? To put it more into contrast, to hmm, let me put it in even simpler terms. Let me try to explain it to you. So, 4 years back, I was into habits, eating junk. I mean, they don't just get washed over immediately. I'll just give you an example. Playing video games, staying late at night at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I think my testosterone was the lowest ever in my life 4 years back. and I was really mean to people. I was a very hurtful person. I was an asshole, basically. And then right now, I might not have the same habits. I don't play video games anymore. Not implying it's bad. It's fun. You have to grow up one day or the other. I don't play video games anymore. I go to bed at a reasonable time now, 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Uh, I try not to be really hurtful to people. I'm mindful of what I do. I do end up hurting people, but I'm only human thing. I don't do it as frequently as I used to. I'm trying to be a better person. I read books now. Blah blah blah. I try to be fit. So you could probably see a difference that these were the bad habits. This is the good habits. I quit a lot of habits on the way, and that were previously really prominent here. But then you could see a change in habits. You could see a shift in actions. But the actual person, the mind, in the 4 year over the course of 4 years, the traumas and the things that have shaped me have really not changed much. Matter of fact, as you grow up, things start to make more sense and less sense at the same time. You think about why did I do this in the past, and you say the same thing 5 years from now. Why was I making this YouTube video talking about this? It's so cringe and all. Just giving you an example of how it could be. But what really happened was earlier, this is my mind, let's say, and it produces noise all the time. This is noise. It just vibrates. It has no stability. It just keeps moving here and there. Just needs a next distraction. So this mind is full of entropy, full of randomness. You cannot put order to this. So things that I deemed as bad habits, let's say scrolling Instagram, that is what my mind was fixed at. Reels. This is my mind. These are reels. My mind was fixed on reels. The next reel, the next reel, the next reel. Okay, if not reels, it's gaming now. The next habit. Playing games, wasting 3 to 4 hours a day. When it could have been something else. I mean, okay. Then maybe you maybe it's gooning for the others. Tons of bad habits you can count. I don't really need to mention them. Versus now I read books. My mind is now hooked onto books. Uh, I do my job. My mind. I do think about job, about my work outside work as well. Not a really good thing. I would not suggest, but if you find it creative, it's good for you. Yeah, reading books, trying to stay fit, walking, and work. So my mind is fixed to these now. What really happened was earlier I had bad distractions. What I categorize now are good distractions. Reading, working, trying to improve yourself versus self-destructive habits. The difference between these distractions is that one comes with negative incentives where they take much of you away, and one comes with positive incentives where they might give you a dividend in the future, where they might give you some advantage in the future. Versus these are sure shot ways to make your life shit or worse than they are right now. So the reason I'm categorizing both of these as distractions is because I haven't still put my mind at peace. I have used good habits as a substitute for bad habits to keep my mind hooked onto something. If these are gone, let us say I am unable to carry forward my good habits, I am unable to sit down and read every day. At the same time, I'm not scrolling Instagram. So there's this void that has been created. Earlier, it was reels, and then I put this aside and I substituted it with books. Now, if books are gone and Instagram is not there either, where does my mind go? I go crazy, right? The Earlier, your mind was hooked to bad habits, now it's hooked to good habits. What now? Once both of these are gone, you realize that every distraction is just fleeting. You can't keep reading books 24 into 7. Eventually, there will be a time where you'll have to get out of reading books, get out of the gym, get out of your work, and just be who you are. Be the actual fucking self. What are you outside of your habits, outside of your work, outside of your identity that you have created for yourself? When nobody is watching, when you're in the shower, when you're taking a shit, or when you're walking by yourself, when you're alone, when you're going to sleep and then there's 2 to 3 minutes before you can sleep. What are you when you're not doing the good or bad habits? That is the actuality you are. That is your mind with no thoughts and distractions. It feels really uncomfortable to sit with such a mind that is just sprawling across. There's like a million thoughts every second. Even for guys, I mean, there are. Uh, it is. I guess it is comparatively less chaotic than a woman's mind. But guys too have really heavy thoughts on their mind. But then, uh, not generalizing anything. Your mind is always filled with thoughts. Left and right, there are new thoughts and new memories and new flashbacks coming and flashing right in. Then your mind just wants to stay occupied. If you do not give it a good distraction, if you cannot give it a bad distraction, it will create distractions for itself. It will ask you to remember those old times. It will ask you to think about your future. It will try to keep you occupied, and the patterns these thoughts are going to follow are the trauma which you have faced in the past, the layers you have built in the past, the experiences you've had. If you've only had negative reinforcement and uh, a lot of trauma building as you grew up, your thoughts and patterns are going to be the same. Once you sit down idle with yourself, once you have nothing to hold on to, your mind is going to eat you up. A man who knows nothing but fighting, at times of peace, he kills himself. He eats himself up. So that is going to be you. When you're left with no good habits and no bad habits, nothing to cling to, nothing to keep your mind fixed onto, your mind will hurt you. But what can you do? I would suggest, if you can, try to get to the root of it. Like, try to recollect what's been going on since childhood, how you have grown up, and if possible, do get therapy if it is worse. And going to therapy is not wrong. You're not weak. You're just trying to fix things from the root level. And for those of us like me who cannot afford therapy, I would say meditation is good. It works. It's not a sure shot solution to all of our problems, but it does help if you are focused enough. Why meditation? Because your mind is sprawling with thoughts when you sit idle. You can't sit with your thoughts for maybe 5 seconds even. It just haunts you of all the things you're supposed to be doing, all the things you've done wrong, all the things you can be doing. It's an entire universe in itself. Things that are not even tangible, things that are just picking everything apart, things that are forming, dissolving, could be, can be, could have been, everything, all the three tenses in one go. And it's happening at the speed of thought, just keeps happening one after the other. When you sit down for meditation, this is going to happen. You are going to go through it all, but it won't really go on forever if you try learn to calm your mind down. There are techniques to calm your mind down and ground yourself. I mean, a lot of us aren't spiritual, so I would not suggest any grounding habits. Just sitting down with your thoughts. Meditation doesn't mean no, not in that sense. Sit down with yourself. Maybe stare at a candle, or maybe just sit down. Take a deep breath. Let it flow through you. Go out in the air. Like, enjoy the air, there's this blue sky. Uh, just maybe stare at it. Let your mind flush through you. Let it happen, let it happen, let it. It'll put you in a mood, sad or good. Depends. But then let it happen. Process it properly. Let it flow. You don't have to, you know what, I haven't been doing this. So you don't immediately get up and start doing that. Let it come. Think about what is causing this. Is it really the child within you that was forced to comply to behaviors that is asking you to get up and do this so that it can get some reward? Internally, it was working on this. Is it your inner child that was left lonely as a kid and is trying to now seek validation from others? Your loneliness is what feeds addictions. We are in the middle of the worst pandemic. There's the loneliness pandemic. I wouldn't say it's only guys. Yeah, guys suffer a lot, but it's also girls, I feel. The loneliness pandemic is just way too much. And addictions feed off of these. We've been part of the last 20 years where we were taught that your self worth is tied to what you can achieve. If you cannot achieve, your self worth is low. And growing up as a child, if you were neglected, if you were not given your needed dose of validation, you will grow up to be a fucking miserable person seeking validation from whatnot. Let me not name those. For some of us, it's guys who basically would go for any girl, regardless of if the girl is really interested in them or not. Basically, simps. And I would not really try to get into the girls part because you know what, digital footprint is a thing. Some of us get into addictions, smoking, drinking, chasing the high all the time, adrenaline rushes. Think about all the things you do and try to heal the inner child within you. It deserves some love from you as well. After all, you are responsible for being a better person. Let's just say this is a part of self improvement where you have to dig deep in, pull out everything that is wrong with you, and not really try to label to understand what this is. It is deep rooted, it will take time. Change almost never comes instantly, but change does come. Sometimes it's even dominoes effect. Your one little activity today might turn into a very big activity 2 to 3 years down the lane. Good or bad, depends on how you do it. But yeah, as a part of self improvement and as a part of you creating a better future for yourself, do work on yourself at the heart level. Place where you're suffering is not outside. The place where you're suffering is inside. Be kind to yourself. You were a child who grew up with emotions and maybe neglect and maybe punishments. I don't say any child deserves trauma. You maybe didn't deserve it. You cannot blame your parents either because they have grown up in that manner. They did their best for you. Now it's time for you to heal your inner self, to you know, nurture that child within you, so that he is able to grow up, mature enough. And if you don't do it, this child will remain in you, and you will lash out. There's also another thing that happens. Why you treat people like shit is because they don't meet your expectations. Basically, you ruin your world by having really high expectations from yourself and from people. It's often so that if a person has really high expectations from others, he also has really high expectations from themselves. They are so self-critical of themselves that they also project it on people close to them. I have been that person myself, and I would not say is the best person to be. It does not create a lot of good memories. But hey, all of us can change. People from the past might call me an asshole. People from the future might call me a cool guy. Or people from the past might call me a cool guy, and future people from the future might call me a lame person they have basically ignored, or they might call me an NPC. Just it just it is what it is. I cannot please others, but I can do what's in my control to heal me. Only after you are healed and you are able to draw the line between ambition and compulsive ambitions, you will be free to do whatever you want and feel good about yourself. If you don't feel good about yourself, self improvement is another distraction. It has no point. Don't do it. It's just an addiction at this point. And addictions do come from traumas and loneliness. I think I've covered 30 minutes by this time. It doesn't hurt to spend 10 more minutes talking about a topic that's really sensitive right now. Is the loneliness pandemic, the male loneliness pandemic, the female loneliness pandemic. I'd generalize it saying the loneliness pandemic. And I'm here to talk about my perspective of it, not from something I've read or heard on social media. I'll just tell you what I feel about it. Ever since we've grown up, there has ever since we were growing up, my bad, we were taught a game of power dynamics. Basically, the guys were said you only hang out with boys, and then you view girls as something. Uh, at least my upbringing was that you stay away from girls. And if I spoke to girls, or if I was even in the vicinity of a girl, I was teased, and not playfully teased. I was teased by my parents or mom. Uh, So if that is done right now, I would smile it off. But as a kid, it adds to the guilt. It adds to some sort of shame associated with the act. Same thing goes on for girls. As they grow up, they are taught that stay away from guys. If they are close to a person, they are teased and there's some guilt associated with it. It is not the desired behavior again. So as time passes, this thing grows, and that is one thing. And then there's also standards that we have set for ourselves. Basically, guys have become ambitionless, and we have cornered women so much over time that they seek independence too. I mean, they deserve it, but then we have pushed them so far off the edge that don't they feel like they don't need us. Their independence is basically an act of discarding us. Our independence is basically what we think, going going and do whatever we want. That's liberty. Yeah, that's independence, and there's a difference. I am free to walk naked on the road. I have the liberty and independence to do that. Should I do that? No. Do I do that? No. There's a difference. We've been raised differently. We've been told that the other is associated with guilt and shame. We've been guilt tripped, and then in current times, there's so much discrimination. Uh, One might be given more rights, one might be given more incentives, and I think as a part of normalization, there is a lot of bias going on right now. Of course, in the past, women have been oppressed. In the current times, guys are basically out of the picture. Uh, you're out of the game right now. I mean, it might sound hurtful, and it might sound offensive as well, but uh, You, you, if you are offended as a woman, you'll really have to look at things from the perspective of a guy. How the world is right now. You might be calling it payback. Uh, that is your perspective, and then yeah, things are just hard for guys and girls both comparatively. It's the level of efforts that each has to put to achieve even the bare minimum nowadays. Living with a lot of expectations. Guys think they need a person in their life that will do whatever is needed at any point of time. Whatever they think should happen, should happen. They seek to establish ownership. Yes, not all, but a large proportion. And women think that opposing, uh, being a rebel is freedom. That is just, these are just my perspectives. I feel that both of us are shit. Yes, we're all flawed. And we must be at terms with ourselves. We must be able to heal ourselves first for us to be able to treat the other person better. We're all humans after all, and all of us have personalities. Being able to be true to yourself should come first. Only then will you be truly eligible to find company as a guy or a girl. So work on yourself first, heal yourself, be you, be the real you. If you have any hobbies, if you have any creative outlets, or if you love something, chase it. Make it your passion or ambition. Don't be lazy enough to run towards it. If something is coming out of compulsion or out of trauma, try to uproot it and work on it at the deepest level. It will take time, but I really believe in you guys. And I do believe that if you're a part of this channel, you are onto something in life. This channel itself is quite small, and then uh, honestly speaking, I just wish all the best for you guys. I hope you guys wish the best for me as well. And yes, all the best. You'll do really well. I'm proud of you, and don't give up.